But you say, what about doing my laundry and buying soap and things? I need money for that, don't I? A small amount, $3 or $5 is all right. But don't carry more than that. More just leads to trouble. If you take care of money, you won't be able to cultivate. You'll have to keep books. If you don't keep books, the donors will think, I gave them money, but they have no record of it. What are they doing with it anyway? And they will distrust you. In all the years I have left home, I will tell you, I have never told anyone to make offerings to me so that I could eat. I'll tell you something else. This master to whom you bow is the one without ability. What ability does he lack? He is unable to get money from people. I talk to people, and if they give, they give. If they don't, I do not pressure them. Besides, you should all know. A single grain of the donor's rice is as heavy as Mount Sumeru. If you eat it and fail to cultivate, you end up wearing a fur coat and horns. If you eat and drink the offerings of the faithful, but do not cultivate the way, if you do nothing but chatter all day long senselessly, with never a time when your mouth is shut, do you think you can cultivate that way? I'm telling you to talk less and work harder. That is the fundamental duty of one who has left home. When the lay people look at those who have left home, they think they're just like us. We eat, they eat, we talk, they talk, we sleep, they sleep. They are no different from us, are they? Why should we make offerings to them? I'm included in this myself. That's why I don't speak about English matters. Anyway, I can't speak English. I don't like to talk a lot, so I don't. Besides, I don't have the time. If you eat and fail to cultivate the way, in the future it will be disastrous. Disastrous. Why should people go out and work and then give offerings to you? Only because you cultivate the way. If you do not cultivate the way, if you do not work hard, if you do not sit in dhyana, you are not entitled to receive people's offerings. This concerns me greatly. I'll tell you about something that happened to me. The first year I was in Hong Kong, I had no money and I did not beg for any. Later, a lay person took me to Fu Chung Mountain to live in Kuan Yin Cave. The cave was extremely damp. In the cave, to say nothing of teacups, there was nothing at all. No tables, no chairs, nothing at all. It was totally empty. I sat on a flat rock which jutted out from the wall. I sat there for several days, and what do you think happened? My legs refused to move. They were numb and had no feeling in them at all. At that point, I had a false thought. It was, I don't want to sit here. I think I'll leave. But then I thought, someone took me here to cultivate. If I just stay for 3 days and leave, how could I possibly face anyone? How could I explain my actions? I'd have no way to do so. I don't care if I die here. I'm not going to leave the cave. I sat and sat for over half a month until my legs regained their feeling and I could use them once more. They no longer refused to cooperate. Then every day, I went down the mountain carrying a bowl to beg for food and brought it back to eat. But my obstacles loomed large. After a year, because of the darkness inside the cave, I built a tiny hut right outside it. As soon as it was built, the obstacle arose. The neighboring Dharma master grew jealous of me and told the pupil at the nearby monastery, don't make offerings to him. He's got money. If he got the money to build a hut, could he not have money for food? Don't make offerings to him. If he's got the money to build a hut, how could he not have money for food? Don't make offerings to him. The supervisor of the monastery believed him and refused to give me food. At that time I was without offerings altogether. No one made offerings, but I thought, I have a few scraps of food here, I'll eat them and then meditate. I did not tell anyone that I had no food to eat. I did not go out and no one came to see me. I thought, if I starve to death, I starve to death, so what? To starve to death is even better, even more glorious. To sacrifice one's life to Buddha Dharma, for the Buddha Dharma. There could be no greater glory, nothing more wonderful. I sat for several days. There was a lay person in his 50s who had been beaten in the leg by a dog. 2 or 3 months had gone by and the wound still hadn't healed. He had gone to both the Chinese and Western doctors, but none had been able to cure him. One night he had a dream. In his dream, Vajra Bodhisattva appeared and told him, if you want your leg to heal, you should go make offerings to the Dharma Master in Kuan Yin Cave on the far side of Fuchu Mountain. And then Vajra Bodhisattva said my name. Go make offerings to him, and the dog bite on your leg will heal. It will be no problem. He had that dream several times in one night. Vajra Bodhisattva also told him what the Dharma Master looked like, and he saw how I looked. When he awoke from his dream, he believed it and took over 70 Hong Kong dollars as well as 30 kgs of rice, which he carried on his back up to Kuan Yin Cave. When the neighboring Dharma Master saw a foot donor, a Dharma protector, coming up the path, he ran right out to welcome him and see what he was carrying. The donor asked, does a Dharma Master live here? He asked. I'm in charge here, came the reply. Whatever you wish to give, you may give to me. Don't go looking for any other Dharma Masters. But I saw a certain Dharma Master in my dream, the layperson continued. He didn't look anything like you. Vajra Bodhisattva told me to give the offerings to him, and I wasn't like you at all. I want to give these things to him. Huh, the Dharma Master's temple blazed. What are you talking about? What kind of talk is that? I'm the supervisor here. He most certainly is not. Any offerings you wish to give, you should give to me. And he started to wrangle with the layperson. I was in the cave and I could hear him. And I could hear them. When my name came up in the conversation, I went out to take a look at what was going on. When the layperson saw me, he exclaimed, that's him, that's the person I saw in my dream. I have come to make offerings to this Dharma Master. The Dharma Master was furious. I asked the layperson what had happened, and he told me about his dream. I said, good, make your offerings. Make offerings to other people is just the same as making offerings to me. You wish to make offerings to me, and this Dharma Master is my neighbor. Although we eat separately, we divide up everything. You should give half the rice and money to him. The Dharma Master was sputtering with rage, and he wanted to argue, but he couldn't think of anything to say. The offerings were divided in half, and he said to the layperson, after this, if you want to give offerings, you must first give them to me. At any rate, I didn't starve to death. The layperson got the name Dharma Master Homegrown because he liked to speak the Dharma and he was a homegrown. That is, not an imported Dharma Master. He wasn't really a Dharma Master, of course. He was a lay person. People kidded him by using that nickname, and everywhere he went, he said, oh, it's really strange. In Kuan Yin Cave, there is a Dharma Master. In a dream, Vajra Bodhisattva told me I should go make offerings to him, and my leg would heal. I did, and sure enough, as soon as I got back, my leg healed all it by itself. healed all by itself without the aid of a doctor. He thought it was very strange. After that incident, which was really nothing in itself, I did not starve to death. Although no one had made offerings to me, the lay people in Hong Kong started coming from long distances and they all made offerings. No matter who gave offerings, I divided them all in half between myself and the Dharma master next door. Although they were given to me, I gave him half. Later, he used all kinds of methods to try to ruin me. Finally, I had to leave. I couldn't live there. I went to build the Western Bliss Gardens. When I was staying at Kuan Yin Cave, there were 2 ponds of water from the mountain in front of the cave. They came from the mountain and provide enough water for the daily use of 10 or 20 people. What do you think happened after I moved out? The water stopped flowing down the mountain. There was no water. When I built the Western Bliss Gardens, there was no water there, but then the water came. All the monks said I took the water with me. I didn't starve to death after all, although I came close to it. If you are not afraid of starving to death, then don't worry. There will certainly be offerings. If you are afraid of starving to death, no one will make offerings. If you are not afraid of starving to death, everything will work out fine. You need only have no fear. And then spontaneously your weight karma will increase. So don't worry that you'll get no offerings. Besides, when it gets right down to the point of having no offerings at all, they will appear of themselves. If you have cultivation, you will evoke that response. Those who have left home should worry about whether or not they have accomplished the way karma. They should not worry about whether or not there are offerings. If you will receive offerings but do not become enlightened or realize your way karma, then you are still just a common person. If you have accomplished your way karma, you are still a sage, even if you get no offerings. Those of you who have left home, do you think about the fact that as the days go by, you have not accomplished your way karma? Do you consider it a problem, or do you worry that as you cultivate and recite sutras, you are not yet perfect in your recitations? In the West, this is a beginning and we almost pioneering patriarchs. Just what gives you the right to be patriarchs? What merit and virtue, what accomplishment do you have? Which sutra do you really understand? Can you truly explain? As far as your spiritual skill goes, can you see for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and so forth until we come to 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months, without moving your legs? If you have that kind of samadhi, then why are you so worried about not receiving offerings? If you have no samadhi power, you may look for offerings, but the more you look for them, the further they will recede. Why? People will see you and think, oh, there's that monk who climbs on conditions. He goes around everywhere, telling people to make offerings and exploiting them. But he doesn't cultivate. He just takes advantage of other people in order to get offerings. This is an extremely grave mistake. You should now return the light and reverse the illumination. Ask not whether people have made offerings to you. Ask what you have done to deserve offerings. If you were busy cultivating the way, how would you have time to notice whether or not people have made offerings? If you really cultivate the way, you won't know whether they have or not. Why? Because your heart will not be caught up in food and drink. It is said, superior people yearn for the way, they do not yearn for food. If someone makes offering to them, that's the way they are. If no one makes offerings to them, they are still that way. I would rather die cultivating the way than get away with loafing and ask for pity in order to live. Your determination should be so strong that you understand with the top of your head in the sky and your feet firmly on the ground. My head can burst its way right up to the highest heaven. It can poke right through the heaven of neither perception nor non-perception, such is my resolve. It shouldn't be that you go for a day or two without eating and think, I can't stand it. Don't be like that. That's being entirely too spineless. And I don't want any spineless disciples. So you should stand firm on your resolve. People in the world all like money. You should not want money. You should pay no attention to money. Cultivate the way with a true heart, and everything will be okay. If you cultivate the way without a true heart, it will be all muddled, and you will create even more offense karma. So today I have taken the lecture period to explain a bit of genuine principle. After this, if one has a virtue, even if people want to give one money, one shouldn't want it. They must kneel, make obeisance very respectfully, and then I will accept it. But if they are not respectful, I will not accept it. I will not accept their offering. I have something further to say. Those who are at home should protect the Dharma of those who have left home. If you let the left home people starve to death, then when you want to do acts of merit and virtue, you'll have nowhere to go to do it. Why? The true bourgeois will have starved to death. Even if you wanted to foster merit and virtue, you wouldn't be able to do it. Those who have left home should know what they are supposed to do, and those who are at home should also know what they are supposed to do. Don't wait until the triple jewel has starved to death. If you try to make offerings to them, then you won't be able to, because there won't be any triple jewel to make offerings to. Everyone should do his job and carry out his responsibilities. Those who have left home must cultivate their way, and those who are at home have the responsibility to make offerings. If those who have left home do not cultivate, then those at home will not make offerings. If those at home do not make offerings, then those who have left home will not be able to cultivate. Those who have left home should cultivate, and those at home make offerings. That's called working together. Sutra Manjushri. Again, a bodhisattva who, after the Buddhas crossed into extinction, make offerings to the Sharira. Again, I seen Buddha's disciples building stupas, building temples, countless as the Ganges sands, to adorn those realms and lands. The jeweled stupas, tall and fine, are 5,000 yojanas in height, 2,000 yojanas in breadth. Each stupa and temple is adorned with 1,000 curtains and banners circling around and wrought with gems and jeweled bells which harmoniously chime. All the gods, dragons, and spirits, humans and non-humans, with incense, flowers, and instrumental music, constantly make offerings. Manjushri, all the Buddha's disciples adorn the stupas and the shrines, make offerings to the Shariras. Spontaneously, the realms and lands are superbly fine and exquisite, like the king of heavenly trees when its flowers bloom. Commentary. In the passage of text, Maitreya Bodhisattva continues his questioning of Manjushri Bodhisattva concerning the various states which the Buddha caused to manifest within the white-haired Makalite. The Buddha had revealed 6 portents, but Maitreya Bodhisattva did not know the causes and conditions which underlay them. Actually, it is certainly in the case Maitreya Bodhisattva was not unaware of them. He deliberately requested the Dharma for the sake of living beings. This is called manifesting a great provisional device. He said, Manjushri, again a bodhisattva who, after the Buddhas crossed into extinction, after all the Buddhas have completed the stillness, have entered nirvana, the bodhisattvas make offerings to the Sharira. The word Sharira means efficacious bones, and they represent the true body of the Buddha because they remain after the Buddha's cremation. When people make offerings to the Buddha's Sharira, it is the same as make offerings to the Buddha. Making offerings to the Dharma jewel is also the same as making offerings to the Buddha, and make offerings to the Sangha jewel is the same as making offerings to the Buddha. All you have to do is bring forth the resolve and be true to the extreme without the slightest bit of defied thought. What is meant by defied thought? It is to make offerings to the triple jewel in the hope of obtaining something in return. That's not making offerings with a true heart. When you make offerings to the triple jewel, you should feel making offerings is my responsibility. Why? I have food to eat. The kindness the Buddha showed towards living beings is limitless and boundless. The Dharma's kindness to living beings is limitless and boundless, and so is the Sangha's kindness. If the triple jewel did not dwell in the world, this world would be completely destroyed. Why? Because if the triple jewel was not present, the demon kings would come into the world and destroy it. So, in making offerings to the triple jewel, we should think, I eat every day. If no one makes offerings to the triple jewel, how could I possibly swallow my food? As one of the Buddha's disciples, I should protect and uphold the triple jewel and cause it to be free from all difficulties. Therefore, making offerings to the Shariras is just one way of making offerings to the triple jewel. Again, as in Buddha's disciples, building stupas, building temples. Stupas are places where people may come and make offerings to the Buddha's Sharira, which are housed inside them. Temples are used for make offerings to the Buddha images. For example, Tianho Temple here, the Buddhist lecture hall, is a place where many spirits are worshipped, and so it is called a temple. In this case, we are making offerings to many Buddhas. As countless as the Ganges sands, they do not build one stupa or temple and leave it at that, but they build limitless, countless numbers of them, as many as the Ganges sands, to adorn those realms and lands so that they are extremely beautiful. The jewel stupas, tall and fine, are 5,000 yojanas in height. How tall is that? One small yojana is 40 miles. A middle-sized yojana is 60 miles. A big yojana is 80 miles. So how tall would 5,000 yojanas be? Long ago, when the Buddha was in the world, the following incident took place. There was at that time a freak. He was wider than he was tall. He was 5 feet across and only 2.5, not quite 3 feet tall. Do you think he was attractive or not? He was probably about 2 feet 9 or so. He looked like a frying pan, but the sound of his voice was extremely resonant and clear. It sounded like a bell. People did not understand what causes and effects were at work with him, and so they asked the Buddha. The Buddha smiled and said, in the past, limitless kalpas ago, he was also a Buddhist disciple. At that time, someone brought forth the resolve to build a jeweled stupa which was to be extremely tall. The man said, why build such a tall stupa? People won't even be able to see the top of it, for crying out loud. What use is such a tall one? If you build a stupa, build one. and have done with it. Such a big one is really, in my opinion, utterly useless. Well, I'll contribute a little something, not a whole lot. I'll contribute the bell to put at the top of the stupa, and that's just what he did, because he said that one sentence. Why build such a high jeweled stupa? Don't make it so tall. In every life, he was born as a dwarf, never over 3 feet tall. Because he had contributed to the bell, his voice was extremely clear and resonant and sounded like a chiming of a copper bell. From this, we can see that people cannot just talk casually. If someone wants to build a big temple and you go there and say, why build such a big temple? If you make it small, if you make it small, it will still be a temple. In the future, you may be very small. People with small bodies should bring forth a big resolve. I'm going to build a big temple, and in the future, you will get a big body. That's the record for your consideration. Don't just say whatever you please. If people are building a temple or a jeweled stupa, take care not to go there and criticize it, saying it is too tall or too short, too big or too small. Each stupa and temple is adorned with 1,000 curtains and banners, circling around and wrought with gems and jeweled bells which harmoniously charm. Circulate curtains are streamers of netting which are cylindrical in shape and hang from the ceiling. They may be embroidered with flowers and they may have interstices in them. Banners are streamers made of cloth and hung before the Buddhas as an adornment. When the wind blows, the little bells ring, and all the gods, dragons, and spirits, humans and non-humans, with incense, flowers, and instruments of music constantly make offerings. Incense refers to various types of incense. They use these things to make offerings to the triple jewel. Manjushri Bodhisattva, all the Buddha's disciples adorned the stupas and the shrines, making offerings to the shariras. Spontaneously, the realms and lands are superbly fine and exquisite, like the king of heavenly trees when its flowers bloom. When the flowers on the heavenly king of trees bloom, they are extremely beautiful and wonderful.